Okay, well my one started. Did anyone else manage to start?
Yeah.
Got one here.
What's that?
So, study anywhere. If you don't have access on your computer, do you have access on your computer? Sorry?
I've already got it.
Okay. So you're okay? You're okay? Right, you go.
I've downloaded this connecting stuff.
You've got access on your computer.
Is it like
You don't have to use it, no. It's just for people who haven't. Okay. So who hasn't? Got access. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Really hope this room is. Okay. I'm somehow going to have to sit down. Like as far as having access open, I just want you to sort of just keep following me along and sort of, because that will give you a quicker in than if I just, I'm just going to demo and I'm going to talk quite a bit as well as demo. So there'll be plenty of time for you to sort of try and do the same sort of thing that I'm doing, okay? And assuming you've got access open, what I'm going to do today is just create a really, really simple little database which is going to have model buildings and rooms and doors and people. In fact, I think we'll just start off with rooms and doors and people, okay? So, and then we're going to model people coming through the doors, okay? So there's just some important things to learn as we sort of head down through this path. So when Access opens, it comes up, if you go and create a new database, just a blank database, and you can call it whatever you want to, and store it wherever you want to. Okay, so if you just do that, and it should come up with a screen that looks like this. Okay, so we're looking good. So we've got a blank data, and it comes up with a table. Yes.
Mine is asking for which location.
Because you just get a blank database. Yep. There you go. This one. Yep. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we've all got a blank database. It comes up looking like this. It's on its way to creating a table. And this here is the first sort of go at creating a table, and in it it's got an ID field, an identity, because when we have a table of information, we have to have an identity for every row in the table, okay? And convention has it that we use what is called a surrogate key. In other words, it's a key that has no meaning. It's just, and in this case, it's just going to be like a counter. So row 1 will be 1, and then row 2 will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it will auto number. Now, I want you to click on, if you just go to Home, and then if we switch now into this, where it's got this, it's meant to be design view. It's got like a set square and a pencil, which is meant to tell us it's design view. Not that most meaningful icon. If we just click on that, then it'll ask us what we're going to call the table. And let's call this first table building. So you can just call that a building, okay? Here we go. So now we've got a table that we can store information about buildings in. And you'll see when you look at the ID field, it's of type, data type, auto number. Okay, and then field 1 is of type number. So we're going to change field 1, we'll just call it building name. And here's, I was going to call this building name. And we then click on that and change that to, say, short text is good enough. Okay? So there we have it, short text. And I'm just going to leave it at that. That's enough for that table. Okay? So then we should save that. Well, we need to save that table, so we just go save. Okay? So there we've made our first table. Now, when I clicked on this drop down here, okay, you can see it's got all these different data types. It's got long text, number, date, time, currency, etc. Maybe we'll put in a date time field. We'll put in a date time field that we might call something like when created. Okay, so, or we could call it when built. Might sound a bit better for a building, mightn't it? When built. Okay. And we change that to a date time field, and of course all the time you keep saving your work. Now the power of defining those fields as different types means that when we try and poke data into them, if we try to put just an ordinary piece of text into a date time field, it will eject, it won't let us do it. Okay, so we get this. So the database is actually protecting itself against bad data. And so we should pick the type of field that we want very carefully so that we get the correct information in there. If it's a numeric field, we don't want A, B, C, D, we want a number. If it's meant to be an integer with no decimal places, then we choose an integer. So that's why you have all those data types. And when you define the data types here, it's actually protecting the database from getting bad or inconsistent data into it. And that's a really key part of any sort of working with information. We want to stop bad data getting into our storage, however we're storing it. Okay, so let's go and create another table. Okay, let's create a table called doors. Okay, so to do that, we just go to create. We say and choose table design rather than just choose table, because then you'll get the ID automatically, and then switch it to design and call that door. Now, something else to note is that, like, if you notice, I'm calling the tables in the singular. Like, I could call them doors, I could call it buildings, and it's a convention. Some people would use plural, some people would use singular. I use singular, but the important thing is to be consistent. It's sort of, I found over time that the calling things singular is sort of better for a variety of reasons I won't bore you with now. And also, another thing is here we have this field name called ID, which is fine because within the context of this particular table, the attribute, the field name, which is like attribute is a synonym for field name, is consistent, but I prefer to actually qualify the ID with the door ID by calling it a door ID, because later on, when we start to do more complex things, then it becomes clearer. Okay, so we can just save that, and I'll just put a door name in here. Door name. Okay, and we just make that just text again, and I'll just save it. So here we've actually started to describe the environment we're in. And what we're going to do now is we're going to close both of those tables. So just like the close crosses right out to the right-hand side. It's a bit confusing. It should really be against the name, but if you look at it, it's right out to the right-hand side of the screen. So just close both of those tables, after saving them, of course. So I close that one and close that one. Okay? And then go to Database Tools. Stop the microphone. A few scratches here on the recording. Okay, so go to Database Tools, and we want to now go to Relationships. Okay, so go to Relationships, and you'll see there the two tables. And we want to now add, actually, just add building. We need to go back and do something else, and just close it, and then go back to door. Okay. Just we now need to open door in design view. So let's change that, door in design view. Now, because each door is contained within, I missed out, room. Okay, we should put room in as well. Okay, so let's step back one and create a new table called room. Okay, let's create a new table for room before we go any further. Okay, so go back to home, go back to create, create the table, change it into table design, and go room. Okay, I'm going to change the room ID to room ID and room name, make that short text, and we're going to save it. So who's got three tables? Yep. Three. Yep. Okay. Just yell out if I'm going too fast. Okay, so we now save that. Now, if we think about that, this room is contained in this building. Okay, so how do you think we're going to connect the room and the building together? We've got ID numbers, and so the room needs to point to what building it's in. Okay, so we need to put in here in the room. We need to put in a building ID. Okay, so just key that in, building ID, and we're going to that because. Okay, so what type of data are IDs? You remember? When we created a table, the ID, oh, you can see up there, look, see? Room ID is auto number. Okay, so it's actually of type number, but it's actually going to be automatically incremented each time we add one, but it's a number. So when we refer to it from another table, we have to refer to it with a number. Okay, so we need to select number for that. Okay, so let's just do that. It looks pretty good. Okay, so we can now go and close all of our, oops, didn't save it. Save that, close it, want to close the door. Okay, so here we had a building. Okay, now if you see there, I just left the building just had ID. It doesn't matter. Now I want you to now go and if you go to database tools, we can just drag the room onto the design surface. Okay, so I just picked up the room and dragged it onto here. Okay, so everyone got relationships with a building and a room? Yes? Good. Everyone happy? Okay. So, and now we're going to create a relationship between these two sets of data, because each one of these tables is going to be a set of data. Okay? So what we do is we drag the building ID onto here. Now, it's got a different name. It doesn't matter it's got a different name. Like, it would be better if I didn't have that. You can call underneath. It would be better if I had that other ID called building ID, but it doesn't matter for now. Okay, so we then get to this screen here, and the only thing we're going to take note of is we're actually going to tick this box that says enforce referential integrity, and I'll come back to that and explain what referential integrity is. Okay, so just tick that box for now. Okay, so we're going to tick that box. Here we go, we tick it and we say create. So, you've now created your first simple information model. Okay? This is a set of information which we can use to describe buildings and rooms within buildings, because the syntax of this, where it says one and then the other symbol, can you guess what the other symbol is? The other end of the relationship line? Sorry? Many, or infinity. It's actually an infinity symbol, that's what they've used. But in conventional modeling, we call it a one-to-many relationship. Okay? Because each building, and we can read it like a sentence. This is just a simple sentence. It says, each building may contain many rooms. And you'll see this when we actually go and start putting some data out. Okay? So now we're going to go and we want to get the door involved. Okay, so what do you think we have to do? Let's open up the door. So open the door up and get it into design mode. Okay. So how do we connect the door to the room? What would we do? We have to have a room ID. The door has to have a room ID. Okay? And if you actually look at the naming of the doors in this building, it will have the sort of the room ID. Actually, I think the doors relate back to the building. Actually, but certainly the rooms. If you think of like the Owen Glen building is building 260 and all, and that, so the rooms are actually called 260- some other number, and so that first piece is like this reference back to the building, but it's an aside. So let's put in here a room ID and room ID, and it has to be a number. Okay, and we need to save that. Okay, so here we go. Now, if I go back to the relationship and I drag the door, I can drag the door straight onto here. Okay, and then I can drag the room ID onto the room ID down here, and I say I want to enforce this thing called referential integrity again. Now, it says it can't do it because I have to close that other table before I can perform another operation on it. Okay, so we have to stop doing that. We have to go back, select the door, shut the door, and then drag this down here, click on there, and say create. Okay. So there we go. We've got another table associated. Yes. Yes. You don't want a copy of the room. Oh, all right, okay. Okay. So here we go. So we've got rooms, each building can have many rooms, each room can have many doors. Okay. Now, one of the reasons that I'm using Microsoft Access to demonstrate this, that there are tools which I call entity relationship modeling tools, one which we have on all our labs called ERWIN, which we can draw these diagrams like this. Okay? The beauty of using Microsoft Access is that we can now go and actually put data into our model. And really, it's only by putting data into the model that we can actually test whether it's right or wrong. Now, it's trivial for this, but when we start to get more complex models, it becomes really difficult to figure out whether it's correct or not. So what we're going to do now is go and put some data into the model. And we're going to do it using a way which makes it, once again, easy to do it. So we're going to create a form. Okay, so we can leave all that open, and then I want you to go to create again. Okay, create. Okay, and we're going to see up the top there, just to the right, a blank form. If you mouse over that, is a form wizard. Okay, see where my cursor is? Okay, so just click on that and we'll get a form. Okay, so there we go. We've now got a form wizard open. And the form wizard is open, and we can see that it's got the table building, and then building name and when built. Okay, so we want to flick both of those over onto the selected fields. Okay, and then we're going to go to the room, and we're going to take just the door name. No, we want I got the wrong one, didn't I? Okay, we want the room. Okay, and we want the room ID, and we want the room name. We don't want the building name from here. Okay, we don't want it again. It doesn't matter if you do, but we don't need it. Okay, and then we go to the door and take the door ID and the door name, and you should be looking like that. Bring an umbrella. Oh, you will give me that. Anyway. Okay, has everyone got to this point? Okay, so we go next. Okay, now it should look like this. And you can see now that we've got like in our form design, because this wizard is actually designing the form for us based on that relationship diagram, like the form wizard, because it knows about those relationships, knows that we want to connect these things up. So you should have got to this point here, and now we're going to go to the next one, which says, well, how do you want to lay the form out? And we come over to here. And we'll just leave both of them as data sheets. That's fine. It doesn't matter which one we choose. But let's just so do next again. And let me just check that I got it right. Yep, looks right. Okay, and then we can go finish. This all gets tremendously exciting. Okay, so now we have a form. And in the form, you can see we have, here we've got the building ID, building name, and when built. And then down here, we've got rooms. And then down here, we've got doors. Okay, so just go in and put in, you just put a building in. You don't have to put anything in this ID field, in any of the ID fields, in fact you can't. So just go down, create a building, put a couple of rooms in it, and then within each room put a couple of doors. Okay? So it doesn't matter what you call them. I get very lazy at this point. Get a keyboard at this point. You can see that the navigation between buildings is down the bottom of the form. So, and you want to create a couple of buildings. Okay? So everyone got a bit of data in. Okay, so now we've now got some data in. Now, if you were doing this for real, and you were going to engage in a discussion with people who were going to be users of this system, you wouldn't do what I've done. I've done something which is I've created this just random test data, and rather than actually giving proper names, it's much better convention to use correct test data rather than just rubbish stuff like this. But this is good enough to show you, and we don't want to waste a lot of time talking about it. Okay, so if you go between rooms, so if I go back to my room 1. Okay, you can see that all of the data is actually linked together. And what we're going to do now is go and have a look in the actual tables behind here, because like this is a form which has been built over the top of those other tables. Okay, so if we just go to building, open up building. building view. Okay. Why didn't that work? Oh, there we go. So there's my building, and I've got 2 rows in it. And if I open up my rooms, there we go, and open up my doors. Okay. So if we look at the connections between so here's building. Oh, wrong one. The building table. So I've got a building called capital A and a building called capital B. When I go and look at the rooms, I can see that my rooms are linked back to my building IDs. Okay, that form has automatically inserted those building IDs for me. Okay, it's automatically inserted those, what we call, in database terms, they're called foreign keys. In other words, they point back to the actual, to the one-to-many relationship between the tables. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a minute. And questions? What don't you understand? Look, I've gone through that pretty quickly. If we come back to here, if we come back to the relationships, which is the most important thing. Okay? We come back to the relationships. We've got what we call, these one-to-infinity relationships. In database terms, are called one-to-many relationships. And in terms of the world, this is how the world is put together. We have buildings, a building contains rooms, a room contains doors. Okay? And so with this data, we could put in as many buildings as we wanted to. We could put in as many rooms within each building, and the data within the room table points back to the correct building, and then the floors point back to the correct rooms. Okay? And you can go and play with that data and examine it and sort of just look at it and comprehend it. I think that's the only way you can really do it. So, any questions to that point? Where are we? Okay. All right. We're going to do one more thing. Just like all of these, in terms of objects and events, what are all of these? They're objects. They're things. They're things that have this identity. They sort of, they're tangible things. They could be intangible, as I spoke about. Let's just stick with the tangible. Okay, so no, we actually need to add 2 more tables. I want you to now, we're now going to go and add a person table. Okay, so let's go and add a person table. So we just come to here, home again, create a table, go into design, and call it person. Oops. Okay, person, and I'm going to change the ID to person ID, and we'll give him a name. Person name, just a bit of short text will do for him. Okay, and that's all we need. Okay, so we save that, and we're going to close the person, because the next thing I want to do is take the person and put them onto our database diagram. Okay? So we now have 4 tables. So, what sort of relationship do people have to these objects on the screen, these other objects? You've all experienced this, you've all done this. What piece of information could we record about people, buildings, rooms, or doors? Okay, how did you get here? I walked up the road and I went into through a door. And I entered a room, like that foyer downstairs would be seen in a building as being a room. Okay? Went into a room. Might call it something different as a room. So, we're going to create another table, and we're going to call it, I'm just going to call it person door, just for now. Let's not worry about a specific word. Okay, so go and create a table called person door. Okay, so here we go. Create table. Okay. Person door. It's got an ID, so I'm going to call the ID just the same as I have the convention person. Notice when I'm writing these names, I capitalize the start of each word. I do that for readability because it makes the names easier to read than having them all in lowercase. There's many conventions for doing this. This is my convention that I use. Other people do other things. Okay, so person door. Person door is going to have a relationship with what? Yeah, I know it's funny. I know all this relationship stuff, but you know. It's an event, isn't it? We're going to record an event. And what's the event between? You know, but you just won't say. What is it? A door and a person. Okay, so put in a person ID and a door ID. Okay? Person ID has to be type number. Okay. Door ID has to be type number. Okay. So, and let's just save that one. We're just going to go that far for now. And then we're going to have to close our person door. I think. Yep. And then drag person door onto here, okay, and then drag person ID onto person ID, drop it there, okay, enforce referential integrity, create, and then take the door ID and put it onto the door ID, enforce referential integrity, create. Oh, okay, I didn't shut my door, so I have to go back and shut the door. I know it's crazy, but there you go. Okay, try again. Drag my door ID onto my door ID, force referential integrity, create. Okay, it's because I've got that form open as well. It's best to close everything off and then we get rid of everything. Okay, don't close. Close that form, I think that was the problem. Okay, I'll just close all my other ones except the relationship. Okay, try again. Door ID, drop it onto there. Okay, create. Right, whoopee, got it. Okay, so now we have a table which represents an event occurring between a person and a door. But we're missing something. What are we missing in our person door event? What would we want to know? Just imagine every time you come through that door, you've got a DNA sniffer. It sniffs your DNA and says, oh, that's David, and says, knows it's that door, and it records in the database this event. What would we want to record as well as those? No, we know the room because we know the door is in this room. Okay? So if you know that, we can derive that through connections we can do there. What else would we want to? What did I say about events? Just think of an event happens in, just generally, the general term of an event. What did I say was a really important characteristic of all of this stuff? What's this amorphous stuff that we live in that we can move through but we can never move back in? Time. Exactly, time. Okay, so we need to go back to our door event, a person door. Okay, so open that up, get it into design view, and now we want to say when passed through door, doesn't matter what you call it, and that would be of type date and time. Okay, so we save that. Okay, and if we come back to our relationship, we can see that it's updated in there as well. And so we now have a information model by which we can record people going through doors. We can tell when people entered a particular room because we can the door is related to the room, and we can tell like how many people entered doors within a particular building because the room is related to the building, and we can do that because we can. There's such a thing as a query language, which I'll show you very briefly next time. Okay. So, any questions about this? Like this is absolutely fundamental to understand the structure of information. Yes.
So what's the overall picture of this?
Sorry.
What's the overall picture of this?
What's the overall picture?
Yeah, what's this going to do?
This diagram is what's known as an entity relationship diagram, or a relationship diagram. In Access, we're actually creating tables at the same time, but we could just be doing it in an abstract sense if we were using another type of tool. Okay? And if we're going to store information, we can see here that when we're storing information about different things that we're interested in the world that we're creating a model of, it's related. And this thing that was clicked that said enforce referential integrity, how can I do that? If I went into, if I opened up the building table, okay, and down here, no, building table when built, oh no, that's too high. No, I want to open up let's open up the room table, okay. Okay, room. Okay, so I could create a new room called EEE, and then if I went in here and put in a value like 5, no, not that, under the building ID, okay. Stop that. How do I get out of there? Okay. If I put 5 in there, okay. I've only got buildings called building 1 and building 2. I've only defined those buildings in my building table. Okay. If I put 5 in here, it's saying there is no building 5. Because I tick that box, it's the referential integrity. And the term referential integrity means that if you put something into the many side of the relationship, in other words, if you're referring back to a building, you can only refer back to buildings that exist. Right? So we're creating a structure of information. Get it? Well, I mean, I can understand that you don't. It's been very it's a very, very quick, but just take what you've done and just go and sort of have a play with it. I mean, you could go, like I would suggest that what you could do is you could, let me just escape from that, get out of there. Because you see, if I put in here, if I put 2 in there, whoops, not 25, 2, okay, it will let me do that. Because it checked that there was a building number 2 in the building table. So when we look at these relationships, that's what they mean. Now, the best thing is just go away, have a think about it, and then in the next lecture we'll just go a little bit further. Like I'm just wanting to show you how information is structured. This is absolutely fundamental to working with information, because information is structured through relationships. So we better stop there, let other people come in. Don't panic if you don't understand everything, but come back with questions for next time and we'll go over it again and then go a little bit further. Yes? Have some help. Okay. Looks like there's no one trying to throw this out. Okay, we can pack up now. Sorry? Oh, the primary key is the idea. Why? Because it's what uniquely defines. Every row in the table is uniquely defined by a different primary key, by a different ID. So that we can point to the primary from another table. So we can create those relationships. If you don't open up each table separately, and just sort of examine them and play around with them, just get a feel for it. How can I prepare for the laboratory? The plan is just a revision of your Excel. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You don't need to prepare for it. And as far as getting a mark, if we give a mark for people turning up and doing the work that they're asked to do. Okay, so it's not like a test. It's like you're sitting there being faithful all the time that you don't get the mark. We want people to get the work done and what to do. That's all. Yeah, it's no big deal. Yeah.
I was just wondering, do you ever post that reports? As in, like, it's structured.
Hang on, can I just disconnect the recording before I do that? Okay.